Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. It is January 31st, 2024, and this is the weekly JupyterLab call. I'm Jason Weil. We have 9 people on the call, and we have a few items on the agenda. Let's get started with David. David, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, thanks for having me. I just want to drop in and check on uh, the state of real-time collaboration in JupyterLab. So just for context, like right now uh, at Amazon, like I've been working on improving the real-time collaboration experience. And I just want to gather feedback on its stability right now. So especially in JupyterLab 4. So like I know that in JupyterLab 3.6, like, back when it was first released, like some users were experiencing data loss issues. Um, and I did just see a new issue in the Jupyter collaboration repo that reports that data loss is still happening in JupyterLab 4. And I just wanted to hear the community's feedback on like, what does the community think about it? Like, are there lots of users who are still getting data loss? Like, is like the frequency of this like the same with like between JupyterLab 3 and 4? Yeah, what do people think?
I mean, it's my opinion that even a tiny amount of data loss, if we had a failure in 0.1 or 0.01% of the time, that would still be unacceptable. It would destroy trust in the RTC stuff. So we need to hold it to a very high standard. The problem is that it's very hard to like test and reproduce.
Yeah. So I guess like maybe RTC isn't used that as frequently by us, or we just don't have good visibility on that.
There
Is that
was a
like
time,
kind of the conclusion I'm drawing from this?
I'm sorry to interrupt, David. There was a time when during these calls, especially when we had an even larger turnout for the calls, that we would take notes using RTC, and that experiment typically was somewhat short-lived because we would have problems with like contention or data loss or conflicts or something. Um, what do folks think about as an action item for maybe next week? Maybe we could try using RTC once again instead of the HackMD.
Yeah, I mean, so like I think the reason that we had stopped using RTC to do these meeting minutes is because of the stability issues, right? So like I don't know, like it seems like the stability issues are still here. If you know, I'm working off of very little limited data here, but it seems like users are still getting it. And as far as I know, the backend implementation of Jupyter collaboration hasn't changed very much between the the two versions of JupyterLab 3 and 4. So I am going to work off the assumption that the issue is still there, and that seems to be pretty safe. Okay, that's
So
cool.
yeah, we actually tried it in one of the calls, I think recently, a couple of weeks ago maybe. And I think it was fine. I think we managed to go through the whole call without an issue. But we were not that many that time, maybe as of today, like 11 people on the call. I don't recall seeing like a big issue where someone had lost like the whole content. And I think if we go back in the notes somewhere here in the agenda, I think there might be an entry missing in HackMD and that might correspond to the day when we tried. And then it was posted on the GitHub issue directly. And to answer the question of what changed, I think between the major versions, I think maybe the main change was the switch to PyCRDT, right? Like this new
Right.
package that is now in Jupyter Server. Although according to David, it probably doesn't change that much, right, to the end user and also like in
Yeah.
terms of stability. So yeah, again, like maybe the best would be to just give it a try, especially with many real life users, because it's hard to kind of replicate issues, reproduce issues with CI or with a UI test, right? In the end, issues
Mhm.
that are experienced by end users. So I would be in favor of trying to, maybe if we can make it like a regular thing, like we check in the beginning. If it doesn't work, we just fall back to HackMD directly. Otherwise, we try to stick as long as possible to the shared binder using RTC. That could be a way to go. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've already done quite a fair amount of research into these issues, and yeah, yeah. We'll see. I think I have all the data I need for now, though. So like, I don't want to inconvenience like the meeting here and ask everybody to start using RTC for meeting minutes. Like, I think you all can make that decision on your own. I won't pressure anything. But yeah, thanks for giving all of your feedback, everyone. That's it from me. So let's move on to the next person.
Okay. So I am next up on the agenda. I just dropped in a link into the chat. There's a JupyterLab Team Compass issue that's been open for a few weeks now, which is regarding a proposal to change the life cycle for JupyterLab major versions. Currently, we support the current major version, which is JupyterLab 4, and the previous one until the next major version is available. So right now we support Lab 3 and 4. And then when JupyterLab 5 comes out, JupyterLab 3 ends maintenance. There's been a proposal to change this so that JupyterLab 3 will remain maintained until 1 year after the first release of Lab 4.0.0, which would mean it would leave maintenance on May 15th of 2024, which is only about 3.5 months away. We've had some discussion about it. I don't know that we've reached a consensus on it. We have a bunch of thumbs up on this, but I'm not sure whether we need a formal vote or we should just go forward with this. There's an open pull request that's related to it as well. What do folks think about this?
Given it's a change to policy, I think it should be voted on.
Okay.
I think it'll pass easy, but I think it should be voted on officially since it's changed to policy.
Okay. I'd emailed the council, the JupyterLab council list earlier in the week, but I didn't see any responses about that. There was also some discussion on the mailing list about potentially having, because this is somewhat of a sudden change, doing a one-time extension for 3 or 6 months to say if there's a critical fix as agreed to by the community, we could still do maintenance releases for another 3 or 6 months. I can include that in the official proposal. What do other people think about it? I also have a draft blog post because we need to get the word out aggressively about this. There's the download counts of JupyterLab 4 outpace those of Lab 3 by about 5 to 10 to 1. But that said, there's still tens of thousands of downloads of Lab 3 every day from PyPy alone. And that, of course, doesn't count all the people who downloaded Lab 3 a long time ago and are still actively using it. So there's probably a substantial installed base of Lab 3.
Yeah, this sounds reasonable.
Okay.
I had one concern with an attempt to define which fixes would be critical or considered for backporting, and that's
Yeah.
very hard to do. So I would just avoid doing that and say that basically any security fixes and whatever community is willing to contribute to without trying to go into the details.
Yeah, there was some discussion on the mailing list that attempted to be more explicit about it. But in short, it would be even if we continue to maintain 36X, it would be for critical security fixes and no features would get backported. Which I think is what we've generally been doing anyway. We haven't been backporting most of the new features in 4 to 3.6 because many interfaces have changed to the point where that's more difficult and it's only going to get harder.
So I guess the thing is we are saying we'll continue supporting 3.6 as we did, but there will be no 3.7.
Well, I mean, we would officially consider it to be end of maintenance by the end of this year in any case. So organizations like where I work that say you can't use end of life software would have to stop using Lab 3. Okay. I think the next step on this is to call for a vote, which I can own that. Next person on the agenda is Frederick. Yeah, a few items. Go ahead.
Hey, Hor. Actually, it's just one item. I have written a lot. So I would like to propose a subject to Google's Summer of Code. So I started an issue on the Team Compass about that. I also started a GitHub project to gather ideas for the program. Brian answered on the issue rightfully that actually there is a services, let's call it like that, provided by NumFocus to be the umbrella for as an organization registered for Google, and we are just under that umbrella. So we are. The deadline for organization is next Tuesday, but that one is not for us, it's for NumFocus apparently. And I opened a PR on the NumFocus specific repository to add JupyterLab to the list of projects that's under that umbrella. There are still 2 questions remaining. Is that we need 2 contact person, even if we're under NumFocus umbrella. So if there are some volunteer, that would be nice. And I don't need an answer right now, just saying. And also, as it's the first time I'm doing that, and I think even it's the first time for JupyterLab, does anybody knows some people that I could reach out at NumFocus to get some like quick question reply question on the process, so that I'm sure I'm doing things correctly. Yeah, that's my 2 questions. Well, thanks, Mike, for the info and for maybe becoming a volunteer, and thanks for the email.
So I believe from previous interactions that we had, that Arlis is a developer advocate at NumFocus who might be able to at least point you to the right person. And there's like a more general email at which is help@numfocus.org. I think that we can use that one as well.
Yeah, I was thinking to like go through this official one, but I was thinking if I can ping somebody more specifically, I have a better chance to get a quicker answer. But thanks, I tried both. Thanks a lot.
Okay, it looks that I'm next on the agenda.
Yep.
So there has been a new release of JupyterLab 4.012, and we also had a release of JupyterLab 4.10 RC0. So we are in release candidate phase because there are no blocking issues. Now the question for today is, are we ready to release JupyterLab 4.1 by the end of the week, or possibly even today? What do people think? And the second question is about drafting a blog post to announce this change. I think that would be pretty easy because we already did hard work collecting the changelog for user-facing changes, so we could start from there and add any additional context that we want. Okay, I see that Nick is still working hard on Mermaid. Yeah, that's one of the cool features. Any opinions on timing?
I think we talked about this last week that we usually let an RC kind of bake for, was it a week or two? I know,
Yeah.
I feel like it was longer for 4.0.0 because that was the first in a major release.
Yeah,
4.1.0 being a minor release, people might not upgrade so much.
Yeah, that would be 1 week from when it was released. So the guidelines that we have internally for ourselves is that we should release by the end. We could release by the end of the week, which I think like we could cut another RC to include all the bug fixes and try one more time to push the notification to users. But so far from the issue reports that we are getting, like the only new thing beside the scrolling issue for which there is a pull request, there was a scroll bar showing up in one place where it wasn't in the previous version. So it seems pretty mature to me.
So in terms of timing, I was thinking like for the blog post, maybe it could be also a good opportunity to mention the new Notebook 7.1 if we get it released a few days later, JupyterLab, and potentially the merge of the sub-projects as a little note in the blog post, even though it might not affect users. I don't know if we should put such information in front of users or not, but it could still be interesting to kind of mark this point like in the same kind of communication effort. But all of this could pretty much happen very quickly, I think, if we have most parts ready, right?
Yeah, I think that there is some argument for connecting these two themes together because like when users upgrade to JupyterLab 4.1 and create a mermaid diagram, they would also expect that to work in Notebook, but they will need Notebook 7.1. And kind of clarifying that going forward, we will as much try to do simultaneous or close releases so that you can use features from one and the other. And now we are officially trying to work more closely together. That kind of fits. Sounds good to me.
Yeah, right.
And I think there is no need for the blog post to appear the very second that we release. It can be like a few days or a week later, so that we make sure that Notebook 7.1 is also out and available. Okay, so I will cut another RC today and aim to release final by the end of the week or the very beginning of the next week.
Okay. Looks like we have Jeremy is next up on the agenda. If you have something you want to discuss, I'll drop one more link to the HackMD into the chat.
Yeah, it's a good transition actually, because my point was about this merge of the JupyterLab and Notebook consoles. So we still have this PR open on the governance repo. I think it was open 2 weeks ago, and looking at it now, I think we only have yes. So there is no one really objecting against. I think there are only 2 votes missing, but I guess we can. We are currently in a state where it looks approved. So yeah, we should see how maybe just a ping on this issue can help make things move forward. And the related news about this is that there is an ongoing vote for the SSE rep that is that kind of restarted, and I think you should have gotten a mail on the JupyterLab console mailing list, and also I think on the notebook console mailing list. So yeah, it's ongoing. So as we were discussing before, could be nice to get all of this aligned with the really upcoming releases, coming days. Yeah, and that's all I have for today. And I don't know if there is anyone else. No, it looks like we reached the end of the agenda.
Yep. Any other topics that people want to discuss on the record? It looks like we have about a half hour left in case people want to remain on. We can look at issues or pull requests after the end of the recording. But does anyone have anything else to discuss in the recorded portion? All right, well, hearing none, I will move to end the recording in 3,